Don't listen in the dark.
One more drink.
What can I say? I'm a ladies' man through and through. I love women. I love everything about them. I love their hair. I love the way they laugh, the way they talk, the way they smell. I love the way each of them is different, and I want to love them all. Blondes, redheads, brunettes, green hair spiked 4 feet high. I don't care. There just isn't a thing that can put me off from them. Unfortunately, I never had too much luck with the ladies. In fact, you could say I was a little bit of a failure with women. I didn't go on my first date until I was 19 years old, and that was a disaster. The girl wasn't interested in me, which I didn't understand since she was the one who said yes to our evening together. We sat and made small talk over some fancy pasta that cost me $25 a plate, and she couldn't have appeared less interested if she'd tried. I just wanted to get to know her a little better. When the night ended, I asked her if she wanted to have a nightcap with me. She said she had to be up early and couldn't. I'm not ashamed to say I begged her to stay. She was gorgeous and I wanted her to stay just a little while longer. I wasn't particularly experienced with women, but I was pretty sure I knew what I wanted. How to get it was really a different matter, though. She sat on my couch and I brought her a libation. I was a whiz when it came to mixed drinks, and though she protested, I convinced her to have just one last drink. She appreciated the subtleties of my cocktail, and getting a compliment from her kind of made my heart swell with joy. She was sweet. I just wish she could have been sweet on me. When her drink was done, so was she. She got up and she headed for the door. I was sad to see her go. Until the cyanide kicked in. I could see her body weight shifting as walking became more and more difficult. She must have known something was wrong, but she probably just thought the drink was stronger than she'd thought. Boy, was she right. When she hit the floor, so did my heart. She was down and she was dead. Her beautiful eyes that lit up the room faded as she gazed a million miles away. She was mine forever, and ever, and ever. Our date ended like many dates to follow, on a long, quiet drive out into the country where there was a nice little quarry a short distance off the road. No one ever came out this way. It was so isolated I would swear that there weren't even birds or bugs anywhere to be found. It was quiet and beautiful. The quarry went on and on into the dark. I'd just make the drop and know that the women I loved were safe down there. Then I'd drive back home in silence, never feeling lonely, knowing they were all down there, waiting for me. I used to never care much for the bar scene, but as my social life started to take off, that changed really quickly. I loved going out and meeting new people, and the concept of being given a drink was not at all foreign in that situation. I would meet a beautiful woman, we would chat and learn about each other, and then the moment she told me in her own way that she was in love with me, I'd beg her for one more drink. No woman seemed to be able to resist, especially because of the finality of the offer. It made them feel like they would be free of obligation as soon as they were done. And they had no idea how right they were. On a particularly cold night, I went to a dive bar I'd never been to before. I sat down at the bar and started to enjoy my drink. Well, I didn't really enjoy my drink, you see. It wasn't nearly as rough a place as I had imagined when I entered it. I had assumed by the run-down appearance and the sign with several of the letters just blacked out on the neon that this place was just full of bikers and tattooed-up thugs. While there were a few, it was mostly a simple blue-collar bar. They only served domestic beer, which I hated, but their menu was the last thing on my mind when I saw her. Her name was Alyssa. A beautiful name to match a beautiful woman. Her eyelashes batted at me as soon as I sat down next to her. She was welcoming and warm. In an instant, I felt like we had so much in common. She didn't have too much to say, but she was a woman about quality, not about quantity. I liked her so much. I wanted her to come with me, and she wasn't particularly resistant. When the bar announced last call, she informed me that she had to get going. She had something very important to do before morning, but I insisted on one more drink. She agreed, and as I brought the glass over to her, I dropped the tablet into the drink seamlessly. I was an expert in such a kind of sleight of hand magic thing going. I handed her the glass, and she slammed it down. She must have really been in a hurry after all. As we both exited the bar, she was feeling kind of woozy and off balance, and I let her lean on me for some stability. But finally, she couldn't hold herself up at all anymore. She went entirely limp, and at that moment I had her. She was mine. My lovely bride. I had considered putting women in my trunk in the past, but that was simply ridiculous and insulting. The women's beauty is something to be admired. They aren't some kind of garbage to be tossed aside. So I buckled up Alyssa into the passenger seat, and I smiled, seeing her there so peaceful. I had never been concerned with letting them ride shotgun. I even got pulled over once by a police officer with one of my lovelies sitting right next to me. I simply explained exactly what was going on. I told him it was late, and my girlfriend was tired and I needed to take her home so she could get some rest. I didn't have to stretch the truth at all, not a single bit. The officer smiled and told me to drive safely, and we were on our way. True love conquers all. The truth will set you free. As we drove and drove into the dark night, I could see our destination rapidly approaching. We would be to the closest point by the quarry in a matter of moments. The thrill filled my lungs and stomach with just butterflies. It was like my wedding day. My whole life was going to change yet again at the end of this long road. It would end with us spending eternity together. Life is beautiful. As I pulled the car over on the side of the road, the chill had gotten stronger. I put on a jacket I had in the back and hoisted Alyssa out of the passenger seat. She was light as a feather, and I whisked her away to her new home. I was carrying her through the threshold. Marital bliss was simply the next step. I marched steadfastly. As I cut through the forest, breathing in the cold night air deeply, I heard something like a wheezing or something. Maybe I had overexerted myself. I stopped and tried to control my breath, and it wasn't me at all. Alyssa was slowly taking in air. The dosage must have been too weak. How could I have been so careless with the woman I love? I picked up my pace, running with her in my arms as I heard her breathing slowly start to catch back up. I had to get to the cliff's edge. I couldn't let a perfect night be ruined. I could see it off in the distance, but then suddenly her eyes opened and pierced through me. She wanted to scream, but her voice was so weak. I made it to the edge of the cliff. I held her up, ready to send her to her final resting place. But she kept trying to say something to me, so finally I looked her in the eyes and I listened. At that moment, her mouth widened beyond any size I could have ever imagined, like a snake unhinging its jaw to eat its prey. Her teeth suddenly, they sprouted fangs that were long and sharp like knives as she grabbed me with an unheard of strength. As I began to panic, she let out one simple phrase. Just one more drink.